So we have our next speaker today, and he is Mr. Keval Bhanushali, co-founder and CEO One Finance. Sir will be talking on today, Let's Reimagine Personal Finance. It's a platform for financial planners, wealth manager, distributor, advisors, bankers, aspirants for the financial services industry. It's again one of the perfect topic to start our day. Over to you, Keval, sir.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I hope there are no technical glitches to start with on a Sunday morning. So without wasting much time, I'll thank all the organizers of AAFM for having us here and giving this platform to talk about personal finance space. And we are really excited to partner with somebody like AAFM, because it's not just about the personal finance space that AAFM works around with. It's the overall mark that the organization has made in the terms of wealth management community and the kind of influence that it has over the key stakeholders. That is something that really excites us. So thank you once again for all the organizers for having us here. With this, I would request to start. It's a Sunday morning. Let's start the whole day with a little bit of humor. I think so we can just play the video. I think
your voice is not coming. Can you reshare with the sound?
Yeah, sure. Somebody from my team, I think they can talk to the tech team there. I think we still can't hear the voice.
Yeah, so you should unshare the screen and unshare it, and then reshare with sound. This is fine, sir. This will automatically work. When you share screen, and on your left hand side you'll see the sound share. So click sound share.
I used to work in a bank, man, as an investment consultant. Me. I used to tell jokes only, but nobody knew. Dude, even I didn't know that these are jokes. I'll tell you, this was my job. My bank told me that, Sumit, you go to really rich people. You, Sumit. Yes, you. And tell them, sir, you earned all this money. Well done. But you don't know how to manage it. I, on the other hand, who came on an Uber pool. Look at me, sir, look at me. Who got your number from your bank account? Sir, who has never even seen this money. But through God's grace and my mom's overconfidence, I can manage your money better than you. Best part, they'll believe it. They'll be like, yeah, take my money, ये wife का gold है, इसका कुछ हो जाएगा? हो जाएगा. हो ही जाता होगा. I don't know. I came on an Uber pool, bro. But don't worry, sir. By the time you will know where the money went, I will be in another bank. Now I work from home, man. That's amazing. Absolutely love it. It's great. Work from home. You guys should totally do it. I get up in the morning and then I have to go.
Yeah, I think we can.
After that, I have to do.
All right. I think, all of you have seen this video, and there are many such videos and many such things that we often hear about when it comes to advisory space and the entire BFSI segment. And, so I'll just share a small incident in my life that actually shaped the whole personal finance space the way I look at it. That was in my earlier days when we used to do all the wealth management piece. The first thing that was taught to us is when you're in sales, you're supposed to sell, and the best sales guy is the one who is able to sell a comb to a bald guy, right? Ganje ko jo kangi bech de. And that is something which I think went on for a very long time. The point I'm trying to make here today is that why is it that advisory space or all of us have come to terms or somewhere down the line are okay with this kind of perception about advisory and wealth management space? And that is something which we at One Finance, we have not been okay with. My co-founder and MD at One Finance, Jeet. Yeah, I think, does this work? Is it fine now? Voice? Okay, I'm assuming it is. So yeah, I was talking about the journey that Jeet and I together we decided to embark about at One Finance. The point is very simple, that we want to change the whole perception, the way personal finance and advisory space in India is being looked at. So with that, we'll just look at some more data points about what our customer feels about us. We engaged Frost and Sullivan and a lot of other research houses in over the last 12 months to walk us through that what exactly people talk about us. And this is one of the studies about who are the most mistrusted people. And it is very sad to see that bankers are one of the most mistrusted people. And this doesn't stop here. If you look at it, more than 60% people think that the advice that is given to them is unsuitable. So before we jump to this kind of questions, I always, whenever we talk about personal finance space or advisory space, there's always this constant question that people in India do not want to pay for advisory, and they'll not pay fees, and they want everything for free and everything. I think it's high time that we go back and ask ourselves that what are the promises that we actually fulfill, right? We promise people about wealth creation. We promise them things like personal advisory and a lot of other commitments. Let's just be honest with ourselves and see that what are the number of promises that we have fulfilled. And whenever there is something that doesn't go right, how conveniently do we have something called as market to be blamed upon? So in this same context, if you look at it, that more than 60% people think that the advice is not suitable for them, and only 4% people agree that the advice is suitable to them. So, and if you look at it, the kind of churning that everybody does, 7.6% almost every week, 20% once a month. That's the kind of churning, because most of the products yield returns to an advisor or a broker at the time of churning or a reinvestment, right? Yeah. So if you go ahead, this is one very important chart. I'll leave all of you with it. This is something that capitalism comes along with. If you look at how the top 10% Indians own 65% of the wealth, I'm sure that most of you are already aware about this kind of gap. But something that we need to really look here is, if you look how we were before independence, in the era of kingdom, we said that only a few handful people actually are holding wealth, and that's why we want to be independent now for the larger audience, which happened, right? And if you look at it, it continued for a very, very long time. Until somewhere around 90s, when we spoke about the FDI. After that, if you start seeing how we have constantly increased that gap, that is one very, very important thing. And if you also look at the recent jump in the last decade, it's almost doubling, right? So that is something which has to be an area of concern for us. While a lot of people are saying that this is the per capita is growing and a lot of other things are improving, you also have to understand this gap, right? So again, these are ITR numbers. Only 49,000 people have earned more than 10 million rupees annually. We can see ahead also So there's this constant endeavor that we try to capitalize or quantify at One Finance, that is there a process to be rich? When we say rich, we are talking about moderately wealthy, right? We are not talking about the uber rich. We are not talking about the ultra HNIs. We are talking about how the middle class income category people need to channelize their whole financial planning in a way that they can actually end up achieving what they set out to, right? Going ahead. So these are again some numbers. What is it that the middle income household looks like? We are expected to double that population in next 8 to 10 years. The average income is set to grow more than 70%. See, these are people like all of us, right? They are probably the second generation mostly, who have been educated, who have been having access to things beyond roti, kapda, and makan. So now they have a lot of other things to actually think of, and especially sustain the legacy of wealth and give it to the next generation, so that they can build things beyond the basic necessity and sustenance, right? So if you go ahead, this is exactly what we are trying to solve. We are not okay with this part of being constantly looked down upon as a financial advisor, or being looked down as just a sales agent. When we talk about a financial advisor, we are not okay with things like our second generation not really looking up to advisory as a profession. If you look at a profession that can be equated with financial advisory, I think it comes closest to doctors, and a lot of senior people in this forum today would be the ones who must have spoken about it a lot of times in their past events as well, that we come really close to the space of doctors, right? Because we have a very long lasting impact on people's life. A right financial plan will ensure that people have not only good income for themselves, but also good education for the generation to come, right healthcare, right stability. Right mental stability is also what is influenced by a lot of personal finance well-being. So we really have a very long lasting impact on people and society at large. I think it's high time that all of you join us in building something where we can really change this perception about personal advisory and overall advisory and wealth management field beyond sales and beyond commissions. Yeah. So what are we doing when we say we want to reimagine the personal finance space, right? We are talking about getting advice only from qualified advisors. If you look at it, somewhere around 1900s, after 1930, 1940, there was this whole drive of cleaning up the non-qualified doctors, right? Everybody was claiming to be a doctor, and suddenly it became mandatory to have a certification or a degree in order to practice being a doctor. And I really think that SEBI has done a great job with the help of forums like AFM and a lot of other people present here, where we are now talking about only qualified and certified people being able to give advisory. The point that everybody who is doing sales is not capable of giving advisory, that is something which has to be spoken very loudly, very clearly about, so that the consumer will ask for that kind of qualification before even taking or seeking advice. So that is something that we are giving the entire platform, or the ecosystem that we are creating is based on giving this qualified advice to people. We want to be unbiased. If you start, and we want to be as unbiased as not even selling any commission products. We want to be as unbiased as having pricing models which are completely in sync with customers' profitability and impact that we create, and not just I gave you an advice and my job ends there. That's one of the key model that we are running on. After that, we are very clear that we will be unbiased because we'll not get into any kind of self-manufacturing. We are creating models where we are able to rate more than 50,000 financial products, not only on the asset side, but also on the liability side. And last but not the least, we are talking about hyper personalization. So that was something that I came to know just around 5 to 7 years back. Before that, we were led to believe that humanization is personalization. The moment I have an RM assigned to a customer, it means personalization, right? It actually means humanization. It does not mean personalization. Because when you talk about personalization or hyper personalization, there are multiple data points that need to be considered. I need to be aware about the customer's history, not just with me, but beyond me, before me, and a lot of other things, which is humanly impossible to do on the job, right? On the fly, it is not really possible to speak to a customer every time for 2 hours and ask his history all over again. It's a very tedious point, but a machine can pretty well do that. So here we are getting right set of tools and enabling a human to give that hyper personalized advisory, and not just the human touch of it, but a human touch which is enabled and empowered by a lot of pre-populated data set based on that consumer's behavior and needs, and also on the future forecasting. So this is all that we have to talk about when we talk about the co-creation at the personal finance space. There are few things which come to my mind when we talk about the whole personal finance space, is the overall evolution in Indian context, right? We have come to a stage where there are two segments of personal finance advisors. One are the RIAs, who are manufacturing and selling their own products, and then the other set of RIAs who are actually going out there and just advising without any execution. So we want to bridge that gap of execution as well, because a lot of gap is going to be created when we talk about execution, right? Say a great advisor ends up giving a financial plan to someone, and eventually it leads the execution gap, and that's where the whole returns or the whole essence of financial planning is lost, and most of the time is lost in terms of secretarial work, right? So that is something which we are trying to change at One Finance. So what I request here on, Mansi, you can stop screen sharing. Right. So what I request from here on from all of you is that there will be details shared after this event, and I would urge, request, and ask all of you to join us in this mission, where you can give us your feedback as a financial advisor. What are the set of tools that you required? What are the set of data set that you require in order to do a right financial plan beyond investment? I think it's high time that we understand that financial planning is not about investment planning alone, right? Just like good health is not about having weight management. It is about a lot of other things. And especially when if you talk about good physique, it is very famously quoted by a great nutritionist that 20% health is made in gym, 80% is in kitchen, right? So in the same context, when we talk about wealth management, I think it's time that we look at wealth management from an holistic point of view, especially on the liability side. And that is something which we are adding for the first time. We are creating financial planning space along with liability management. So things like asset to liability ratio, things like your FOIR, these are very important concept which an investor has to be educated about. And that is what we are creating. In the same context, I would urge again all of you to join us in this mission. You will be sent details after this event. We are creating a board of advisors for this whole beta testing, where we will be giving you access, the early access to this platform and all the algorithms that we have built. And we would want you to help us better that from a customer standpoint. I think with that, I'll end my session, and I'll ask Dimple to take it.
Thank you so much, sir.